Good evening. I will now call the meeting of the Aggregate Industries Committee to order. The only item on our agenda tonight is the review of the Aggregate Industries 2023 annual report. In attendance this evening, we have committee members Councillor Rosignol and Councillor Gamache, and Councillor Higgins is the chairperson. We are also joined this evening by Councillors McGinn, Councillor Gould, Councillor Daigle, and Councillor Peach. All right, I would like to note that Aggregate Industries is known as Wholesome, which is the name of its parent company. However, since a special permit remains in the name of Aggregate Industries, we will continue to refer to them as Aggregate Industries. All councilors were provided a copy of the annual report. So this evening, I will provide an overview of the major areas of the report, which would include blasting, noise and air quality, as well as groundwater and stormwater testing. Would someone please make a motion to receive late communication?
So moved.
All right, you all heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. The 2023 annual report, which I have here, is over 750 pages. It is quite detailed, includes many technical reports, as well as air, water, and noise test results, as required by the special permit. I will provide an overview of some of the major areas of the report. The facility, as most of you know, is located on Russell Street and has two main operations. It has a quarry operation, which involves blasting, harvesting, crushing of stone into different sizes for sale to third parties. The other operation at the site is the asphalt batch plant. The asphalt operation involves mixing of stone, sand, liquid asphalt, and recycled asphalt product in order to form a hot mix asphalt. Customers arrive at this facility to have the hot mix asphalt loaded into their trucks for off-site delivery. So in 2023, we had, there were 20 blasts during that season as compared to 16 in 2022, not an unusual number over the years. The Peabody Fire Department had a representative present at each blast to monitor the safety and adherence to the special permit requirements for blasting. I will note that on October 26th of 2023, there was a blast that did reach the maximum level of 133 dB. Captain Dowling addressed this issue with Aggregate Industries and Main Drilling and Blasting. Main Drilling and Blasting and Aggregate Industries were reminded of the consequences of not adhering to the special permit requirements. We would strongly urge that future blasts don't actually reach the limit and try to stay a little further below. And they were amenable to that, and they understood the consequences. There were two property damage claims submitted to the Peabody Fire Department during 2023. The Peabody Fire Department reviewed the blast report data and concluded that there were no violations in those instances. I'd like to thank also Sharon Cameron and Robert Langley in particular for going over the details of this lengthy report. Sharon Cameron is our City Director of Health, and she provided a memo to this committee, which is in the packet. I would like to thank her for reviewing all of it. She reviewed the compliance with noise and air quality data attributed to the activities at the quarry and the asphalt operations. Also, the noise measurements we had noise measurements conducted in August and November of 2023. The average noise levels associated with the quarry activities were at or below the threshold established by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. We note here that the special permit requires testing to be performed once in the spring and once in the fall with the quarry fully operational. The timing was an improvement in 2023 over 2022, but we didn't quite reach the measurement in the spring. It was, the previous year was, I think, September and November. 2023, the measurement was August and November. We'd prefer that the measurement in the spring would be May, somewhere around there going forward. The noise levels At 9 and 21 Stiles Drive, we're within compliance, but they were at the limit, and this has been the case for the last several years. It's not new. Aggregate Industries is planning to replace a bucket elevator by December of 2024, and they will perform follow-up noise testing after the bucket elevator installation is complete, but that is one of the contributing factors to the noise. They did have plans to mitigate that, but the plans that they had for 2023, it turned out structurally that elevator system wasn't going to support the baffling or blanketing that they were going to put on the outside. So that fell apart. But their plan is to go with a very expensive replacement. Also of note, the engineering department, thank you, Robert Langley, for being so detailed. He observed a typo in Table 5 for location 4 on page 167. The difference reported in that table should read -2 and not -3. We'd like this typo corrected well within the threshold, so there's nothing else of concern there. We also looked at the air quality portion of the report. We evaluate the volatile organic compounds over 3 days in October at 4 different locations around the perimeter of the facility. The testing demonstrated that the substances that were detected were below occupational exposure and residential reference concentration standards for which reference standards were available. Evaluation of semi-volatile organic compounds, or SVOCs, was conducted also over a 3-day period in October at 4 different locations around the perimeter facility. And those results showed that the levels detected were below occupational exposure and residential concentration standards as well, for which we have standards available. Particulate matter is also measured, and the diameter was below 10 microns, and that was conducted in October of 2023. And the estimated PM10 concentrations were below the 24-hour national and Massachusetts ambient air quality standard of 150 micrograms per cubic meter. Robert Langley went into some details with the groundwater testing and monitoring that was done. He reviewed the groundwater report and stormwater reports in the annual report, and he did a great job. For 2023, the groundwater samples were taken on April 27th. This is consistent with our recommendation of springtime sampling to ensure the best chance of obtaining representative water samples as opposed to late after the summer. The test results indicate that no significant change in groundwater quality has occurred at the site since the 2022 sampling round. No concentrations were reported that constitute a reportable condition under the Massachusetts Contingency Plan 310 CMR 40.0. Neighborhood issues, we had this is my first year doing this, so I got to meet the neighbors at the annual pre-blast kickoff meeting, which was held with the neighborhood committee, the Peabody Fire Department, Maine Blasting and Drilling, and the representatives at Aggregate Industries. We had the meeting on site at Aggregate Industries. During the meeting, we talked about the 2024 blasting plan, and the 2024 plan is for approximately 20 to 25 blasts, give or take. It won't go over 25, I don't think. Neighbors raised some concerns regarding the hours of operation and trucks arriving too early and leaving trucks idling when they do arrive early. Aggregate Industries instructs all customers about the hours of operation as specified in the special permit. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. There was a report of trucks arriving after 4 p.m. on May 24th and May 25th, 2023, which we all agree is unacceptable. The folks at Aggregate Industries were not aware, and they did communicate with operations personnel to make sure that drivers are aware of the closing time. The special permit provides some protection for the neighborhood. We still have a difficult situation with residents living so closely to the quarry. We have a neighborhood that resides on the edge of it, and it's active with regular blasting, rock crushing, truck traffic, all of which affects quality of life. The current plant manager, Sean Clancy, has been very responsive when issues do arise. Just as an example, in my experience so far, it was about a few weeks ago now, a resident called about gravel that spilled out of a truck while leaving the facility and onto Russell Street and in front of her driveway. This resident was dealing with a broken ankle and a knee scooter. Sean's team got the street sweeper out and they cleaned it up right away, the same day response. However, the residents still have a tough situation. Although this is not a public meeting, I would like to allow the opportunity for any residents who may want to make any comments that may be here, or anyone that's attending via Zoom. I do not see anyone attending in person. Do we have anyone on Zoom? No. All right. Do any subcommittee members have any questions or comments regarding the 2023 annual report? Councilor Gould? Sorry, Tom. Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd actually ask Aggregate to come before us and give their presentation of the 2023 as well as anything upcoming for 2024.
Excellent. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is, my name is Jarrett Temple. I'm the Regional Manager for Environment and Land for Wholesome, formerly Aggregate Industries. I live in Hampstead, New Hampshire. As far as the presentation goes, he's a tough act to follow. He pretty much summed up very well our entire operation for 2023. For 2024, I don't think you touched on much other than the blasting, the meeting, the pre-blast meeting that we had, that we have every year, is pretty consistent with what we did in 2023. We're expecting the market to be the same. We're expecting blasts to be within 2 or 3 of what we did in 2023. Same with the asphalt plant. You know, it's largely based on construction and customer demand, so it's hard to forecast, but year over year for the last 5 years has been pretty consistent.
Councilor Rossignol?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I know you mentioned that the max number, what is the max number of blasts allowed per year? I know you said you're going to keep it around 25 this year, and that's roughly the same as it was last year. What's the max number allowed by your special permit?
We're allowed to blast once a week. So typically we do not produce year-round in Peabody. Again, based on market demand, we'll close down sometime in November or December and come back on late March or early April.
Thank you. And as the chairman mentioned, there were a couple of very high readings last year from Stiles. Now, are you planning on blasting this year in the same general area? Or because I've been to your facility many times, it's massive, and I don't think people really get the scope of that operation because it's kind of tucked away off of Russell Street, but the operation is pretty expansive. So with that said, are you planning on blasting in the same general area near Stiles, or is it going to be further away, or where would the locations be of this year's blasting primarily?
So location for this year is the same as last year. And it's funny that you mentioned how big and expansive it is. It's actually the footprint is actually one of our smaller quarries. I'd love for you to come visit one of our other ones. But I'm glad you brought up the noise, because I did want to address that. Councilman Higgins brought up how we plan to address the noise. We've had a baseline reading that's right there at the limit for a few years, and we've been trying to figure out how to mitigate that noise. And we went with blankets. So we bought a whole bunch of blankets, and it's exactly what you'd think. Like, they're these huge industrial blankets, and you wrap them around the elevator guards, actually. And when we got the blankets and started the process, we realized that there was questions as to the structural integrity of the guards, and the blankets would have made them very unsafe. So we had to abandon that, and we just went with what we've been putting off for a couple of years now, is spending the capital to replace the elevator. It's very expensive and costly, and it takes a long time. It's a mechanical lift to do it. But that's the plan. So this year, after shutdown, sometime in November, December, we will replace the elevator. And that, what we learned through our noise testing, was the culprit for the increased noise. So that's the plan. And also, along with that, we missed our target for baseline testing in 2022, I believe, and it was because we didn't have the asphalt operation running. So we spoke with former Councilman O'Neill on it, thank you, and he recommended that we were just going to forego it, but he recommended that we do it later, just so that we didn't set one baseline without it, saying, oh, wow, noise is great, right? And then come later, and there it is with the elevator making noise again, and have it be, a huge disparity. So we know now what the culprit was, and we have a plan to fix it, and our testing for the beginning of 2024 will reflect it.
Just lastly, one of the motions earlier was to receive late 3, which was by a resident, stating that on March 8th there was extensive odor from the asphalt. Was there anything done differently that day? Was that just, could you just elaborate or explain?
Certainly. So I believe I know who this resident is, and newer to the community. I believe he moved in just after COVID, and frankly, I'm empathetic to his concerns. He's got a young family, a newborn in the house. He can smell asphalt, and he's concerned about health. So anytime we receive any kind of complaint or concern, we do an investigation. We found on every occasion that he has smelled odor and contacted us or DEP and or Ward 6 counselor, we have found that there's nothing different in the operation. Once in a while, we'll get a delivery of asphalt cement, which is the binder. It's the major component of asphalt. It's the stuff that makes it stink, from a separate source. And on all 3 occasions, I believe that he has mentioned this, we did not receive it from an alternate source. But we did notice that the wind was coming into direction from the plant up into that neighborhood by Madison Avenue. And we assume that on those days that we're busy, trucks leaving the facility, the wind is just taking it from the trucks into the neighborhood. And unfortunately, that's one thing that we can't really do anything about. But we remain vigilant. Again, we've been in this community for a long time, and we plan to be good neighbors for as long as we're here. Anytime there's a complaint, we'll address it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your candid and pointed response.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Are there any other questions from the councilors on the committee? Seeing none, any questions from the other councilors that are in attendance? Seeing none, I just wanted to touch upon that last topic, if I could. It was mentioned over our meetings that the folks at Aggregate Industries also will add EcoZorb or something to help mitigate the scent of the asphalt. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a chemical that we typically add in our mixes. It does combat the odor. It's not going to eliminate it, but it will reduce odors up to a certain point. So we are going to increase the amount of EcoZorb that we use to see if that will help. And I believe that has already started.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none? Okay. I do have some recommendations after going through this and getting inputs from all the different departments. Our first recommendation has been it's been around for a while, so it will sound like a repeat, but the notification letter that is sent to the residents regarding the pre-blast property survey needs to be revised to reflect wording contained in the special permit stating, gotta get this right, the independent specialist shall submit a copy of the conditions survey for each residence surveyed to the homeowner and the fire department. I believe it still says to the fire department only. The homeowner would like to get a copy. Recommendation to Aggregate Industries should conduct additional noise mitigation efforts to ensure the 10 dB increase above background noise is not exceeded for any location for any period of time. We've already touched upon that. The third recommendation would be to fix the typo in Table 5. Location 4 on page 167, the -3 value should be corrected to -2. This recommendation 4 is a repeat, but we want to keep it here because of the importance of it, and that's the groundwater sampling from the wells should continue to be taken in the springtime period, which you've been doing. This will allow the wells to have adequate groundwater table to help ensure that the sample can be taken and analyzed. Recommendation 5, noise monitoring measurements must be conducted twice a year in the spring and the fall while the facility is operating. And we'd like to see that in May. And then 6 is we've had before, all conditions of the special permit issued in 2002 must be met going forward. The 2023 annual report submitted by Aggregate Industries complies with the requirement of the special permit granted to Aggregate Industries. I would like to make a motion to approve the 2023 annual report with the following conditions, which I've already read. 1, notification letter, I'm sorry, somebody, that should be made by a committee member, sorry. Would someone like to make that motion?
Finish your thought, and then I'll make that motion.
With those 6 conditions added, would someone make a motion to?
Make a motion to follow the recommendation from the chairman. So moved.
Okay, you all heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. So that's so moved. Accept. Councilor Rosignol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Captain Dowling from the fire department is here. I just wanted to give him the opportunity to say a few words if he would like to, if he wanted to interject or say anything that hasn't already been discussed or vetted. Okay. Thank you. He declined.
Thank you for pointing that out, and thank you, Captain Dowling.
Then I'd make a motion to adjourn.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, council members.